markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo masquerade statue and a clock tower are also symbols.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizens' promises. See something. This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
Welcome back to SOUQ Business Landscape. We're talking business, economy, and development. I have Swift and Doctor still here. Let's continue. The federal government has confirmed that outstanding entitlement for retired soldiers will be disbursed this week following a review with key defense and finance institutions. Officials from the Military Pension Board, the Nigerian Army Welfare Insurance Scheme, and the Security Debarment Allowance Department finalized arrangements to ensure timely payment. Retired Sergeant Ekundayo Alisame disclosed that names of beneficiaries who had yet to receive complete settlements were compiled and verified with assurances that payments would commence before the weekend. He emphasized the need for accuracy in payment charts to avoid discrepancies in future calculations. The government also clarified other issues, including allowances and benefit shortfalls, while reaffirming commitment to a transparent system for managing military welfare. Stakeholders stressed that soldiers should have clear knowledge of their entitlement from entry into service, creating long-term confidence in the military welfare structure. Doctor, this is quite interesting, even though it's sad, but yes, we are moving forward. Even while in service, we've seen viral videos of soldiers that have complained about, getting their salaries, not taking care of them, even those in the bushes and all that. But what bugs the mind is that after long years, 30 to 35 years of service, you find it hard to access something that you have saved for the future. What's the way forward?
Well, I think the way forward is digitizing our entire process, moving from this analog to a digital era. Public administration today is actually at the era of e-governance, where, of course, there are openness, citizens' participations become easier. Some of all these things factored into the blockchain technology. And then we are able to determine that, because it can be disheartening.
Yes.
That after serving your country, laying down your life, some of them are wounded, some of them are carrying bullets up and down. And then to get his pension become a problem. That's saddening. And I think we can do a lot better. But again, like I always would say, some people, of course, who again themselves are military people, are also benefiting from these confusions and chaos.
You want to break this table?
See, that is the problem, because honestly speaking, you see, they call it a wait for your turn syndrome kind of thing that we have in our public service had to die. Because this is quite discouraging. That's why a lot of people cannot commit to the nation. I remember in 2006, I was somewhere in Jos having facility training, and we were talking about anti-corruption. And this young man said to me, I said, look, my father served this nation. He has no roof, he has no head. To collect his pension is a problem. You want me to pass that route? I will not. You see, because why we blame some certain people for being corrupt. We also, again, don't look at the issues that are really fundamental to it. And these are things that we can address. Yes. That if all of us become transparent enough, we will be able to deal with the issue and then even have better systems that are working. People can be sure that, okay, I've worked for Nigeria for 35 years, this is what is due to me, and this is what I get every month. And at every month, I don't need to come and be doing verification over and over. The thing is transferred straight to my account. And one system of registration can alter this whole stuff. India has done it. Their Aadhaar card solved that problem for India. Oh. So why can't Nigeria have that system where everything is digitized? So we know that, yes, you were a military. We know where you enter, we know when you have retired. And we know where your payment is. And at the dashboard, that can be seen. And we integrate all the processes of both civil service and public officers, and we know who is taking what. And so when resources are coming, then of course, instructions are given electronically. So you don't need to see anybody before you get your pension. So all these things are quite discouraging, and that's why you see people are not as patriotic as they could be.
Yes.
I was telling a friend of mine who heads the Bureau for Public Service Reform, and I said to him, look, I was doing something with a public institution. And after 2-3 weeks, I wasn't getting a response. So I made the call, and the guy said to me, he said, okay, that you know that I need to follow it up. I said, I have to be in Abuja to follow up, or send somebody to Abuja to follow up. And a thought just come to my mind, and I chatted somebody up, and I said, oh, I wanted this process. He said, yes. Have I done this? I said, yes. So we dropped, and I said, okay, please send me your account, let me give you a check card. That thing I've waited for in 2 weeks was done almost immediately. And I said to him, so I was out telling my friend. And I was telling my friend, and I said, see, we are not corrupt people. We are not bad people at all. Incentive and motivation is what is missing.
Needs, yes.
So if government cannot take care of its retired people, and they have to go around these, either protesting or moving on the street or raising civil society group to be advocating, then we are not moving, then we are not ready to build a nation of patriotic and nationalistic people. And I think this is where the bus stops. And I'm so happy that the government has announced that this week that the e-government, onegovernment.org is taking off. And we hope that enemies of progress will not make this another pipeline dreams or somehow. So, but it's just very, very saddening that somebody had worked and put on all his life, energy to serve his nation, and now the salary earned in the first cannot buy him a house. Government has not built him a house. Now to even collect his pension to be able to feed himself the rest days of his life, then it's becoming an hassle. And I don't think that's cool enough.
SOUQ, coming to you, I've had a personal encounter, not me, but someone close to me. My mom, I remember immediately after she retired, 2 years, it was 2 years, because after she retired, she wanted to just go enjoy herself. She traveled out, and she had to come back because they said there was one particular file that was missing.
Yes.
For verification. She came back only to discover that she had problems with her NIN. Then the battle started again. It was 2 years to resolve this. And after 2 years, when she resolved it, a year after was when something started. So you can imagine, and that is just for someone, you can imagine older people. And our doctor raised a very important digitization. I'm thinking we are not even utilizing the national identification number, because that is where it should start from. With your NIN, all your details, everything should be loaded into your NIN. Something like the social security number we have in the United States. So with that, everything. So you don't have to wait till you retire before you now go and queue up, you carry all your files. That is even if your files are still intact.
Exactly.
If not, it's a whole other process. So what do you think about this?
So you see, when I saw the news, as much as I was happy, I had a very bad thought. And I said, what of people who have died in the processes of waiting? Do their families get anything? Because I didn't see rumination for them. You know, when the doctor was talking about the fact that people, when I said don't break the table, that there are people that are in the system that are benefiting. Years ago, I used to be very close to some people in the military. I used to be very, very close to them. I literally was living in barracks at that time. And there was an accountant somewhere in Lagos, let me not mention the particular place. He was transferred out. He had been taking money. How was he getting money? Every time they transfer young officers to go and fight the Boko Haram, when they die, their remuneration is coming to him. So the guy is collecting allowances, money. Some people that have died for 3 years, 4 years. Now, the guy had so much money, he had bought houses in Lagos. One day, now said he had nothing to do with money and threw a party for his dog, that it was his dog's birthday.
Wow.
That's how much money he had. And bought drinks, food.
So
people now recorded and sent to Abuja. There people had been reporting him that this man, you know, this is level whatever, maybe level 12 officer or whatever, because he's in charge of accounts or whatever. But at this juncture, it was sorting everybody. It was too open. So they now took him and posted him to the heart of Borno, you know, and started to open a civil case. They found out he had over 15 houses in Lagos, which is impossible. Even generals, how many houses do they have in Lagos? So what are we saying? That's what doctor was saying. A lot of people are happy that these people are not being paid. Because the more they are not being paid, these allowances, certain people are just sitting on it, and they are taking these monies. Now, I had my mom's friend, late Dr. Ms. Asemuta, she works in the Nigerian military. She died. When she died, it took more than 6 years. In fact, at a stage, the husband, too, was a doctor. He had to be doing back and forth to Abuja. In fact, there was one time he took her son so that they could see that, look, this money is needed for this child, you know, educate. Like, these children have their mother's benefits. He said there was a woman there who, they now told him that, Oga, your file, somebody now sneaked to him. The person is from the same place. What is Ishanto? That is this woman that is sitting. And he went to meet the woman. And the woman was just, you know, screaming. And he told her that, my wife was a woman like you. She served this. What was she sitting on that file for? You need to settle. And it wasn't small amount. I think at that time she was billing whether 100,000 or something. So it is so sad that it is the same people who have spoiled the system. They also seem to forget that they will retire. And when they retire, the process and the kind of cacaworms they have started, because there are younger people that are watching them, they are going to do this. I think it's a laudable thing. It's shameful that it had to get to this point that we saw our very own military officers who we watched, saluted, and respected go on the streets to say they were going to shut down the nation, strike, calling civilians to come and advocate for them. It's one of the biggest embarrassments, but thank God this has happened. But it's not just happening. What's the next step? We need to see the House of Reps pass a law. If you violate any offenses, if you are caught in corruption, what is the stiff law? Let's have Nigerian farms. Let me see accountants. Let me see civil servants who are collecting, working very hard. Let them be joined by politicians. Then you will find out that this will start to calm down.
The laws are there, Swift. We don't need new laws.
We do.
The laws are there.
It's just to be enforced.
You see, the problem with us is the fact that I say this everywhere. When you look at systems that we have put in place, and the things that government has done in terms of reform in Nigeria, is awesome. We're having this conversation last week, and this guy from Casablanca said, look, Nigeria is ahead of all African countries. Ahead in terms of things that are documented. We are only low at the point of implementation. That's a problem. So it's not that we need a new law.
Okay. It's just implementation.
You just imagine the fact that somebody has a file. The person knows that it's illegal to hide the file, but he deliberately hides it. He wants you to look for it. And so when they are looking for it, then it tells you, oh, well, the place is empty. I say, okay, can you help me? And 5,000, in 2 minutes, the file comes out. So you know what he's looking for. It was 5,000. And that's because what they are earning is not dignifying. If people are paid well, they will have decorum and honor. And I think that's where the weakness actually lies. And then we also need to reorientate our people. For example, we have civil servants who want to have their children school abroad. What's the value of schooling abroad?
A good accent.
Better system?
So some people want their children in private school. What is its value? We have all manner of excuses around it. Oh, the dormitory is not clean enough. There's delay in terms of strike and the rest of it. Yes, it could be plausible. But all these things are all our own creation.
True.
So if we create public institutions that are working fine, and government says, okay, if you are working for government, for example, you have a child in King's College, instead of paying 80,000 school fees per term, because you are working for government, your child pays 35,000 or 40,000 or half the price.
Yes.
That's a huge incentive.
True.
So in that case, you don't need to steal. You have to protect the system. So, but what we have is the fact that there are laws that are written, but the laws are obeyed in breaches. Beautiful law. So what is then the value? Somebody said China built a wall to cover their country.
Yes.
And in 100 years, they were attacked and invaded twice. And the invaders came in through the gate. What happened? They gave money to the soldiers at the gate. They opened the gate for the enemy to come in. So what has China to do? Of course, now have to retrain their men.
To stop collecting money at the gate.
Or stop opening gates for the enemy. And I think this is what we need to do.
Yes.
So if we want a world-class public service, we must be ready to pay the price. If they tell you a director general in Nigerian public service does not earn up to 1 million naira, will you believe it?
No, we know.
And then, of course,
someone in a bank.
In his village.
Yes.
They say he's head of government agency. They give him chieftaincy title. When they are building new church, they send him invitation letter.
Yes.
Anybody want to marry, get an IV for donation.
The
People whose children are sick.
School are coming to his office to visit him.
How does it cope? So these are the things that are fueling this bad behavior. And I think these are the things that we need to actually deal with. National identification for me is the starting point for our national transformation. Yeah. Where every single child that is born in Nigeria is given an ID on the day of his birth.
Definitely.
So there should be somewhere in the hospital where children are registered.
All right, so let's move on to our next story. Yes, France and Germany have called on the European Union to widen its sanctions against Russia by targeting its major oil companies in the next round of restrictive measures. Now, according to proposals backed by both governments, energy firms such as Lukoil and Litsavko should be considered for listing to maximize pressure on Moscow's oil export capacity. Now, the proposal reflects growing alignment between Europe's two largest economies as the bloc seeks to tighten financial and trade restrictions while curbing Russia's access to energy revenues. Now, oil exports remain a critical source of funding for Moscow, and the move signals a stronger determination within the EU to undermine that leverage. Excuse me. If adopted, the measures would represent one of the bloc's most significant steps yet in reshaping its economic relationship with Russia. Now, analysts suggest the push could also accelerate Europe's transition towards alternative energy sources, reinforcing the continent's broader strategy of energy diversification and long-term resilience. Doctor, coming to you. What's really going on? Why is this sanction towards Russia so important?
It's the geopolitics, of course, that we see all around, and I think we have gone out the era of a world war, and there are some organizations that have outlived their youthfulness, and I think one of those organizations is NATO. Yes, and I think there's a need for Europe to understand that people have grown up. That the era of the Berlin Conference is over, where they sit round in table and map out the world as colonies. That era is gone. That the world needs some level of mutual respect, one for another. And it is this understanding that will bring global peace. The war between Russia and Ukraine is avoidable. And in my own view, NATO is the aggressor, and not Russia.
Where's Priye?
NATO is the aggressor. And so, they should stop the expansionist move to control other people's economy and stay within their own geographical boundaries. So there's no need, because what you're looking at is the fact that this ego trip of to prove that, oh, we have enough power. But we have gotten to that level of this mutual assured destruction long time ago. And you saw just the military parade recently in China. China's also saying we have come of age. There's nothing you think you have, we don't have. So let's leave this sanction thing and allow nations to relate as equal by the doctrine of sovereignty, which of course the international laws have guaranteed to every nation that has a government. And we stop interfering and foreclosing into other people's affairs. And I think this is a problem because Europe, and especially the Western powers, have mobbed themselves together and feel that they are the most superior race in the world. And I don't think that will make for global peace. Otherwise, by now they thought that Russia would have succumbed. They have finished all their sanctions in Europe. But they also need Russia anyway. So it's unfortunate that we have to subject ourselves over and over to some people expansionist tendencies. You are not content controlling your environment, but you want to also expand tentacles to other nations and determine how they live. And I think that's absolutely just unfair.
SOUQ, coming to you, what's your thought? And of course, what implications do you think these sanctions will have on the global oil market, especially Africa?
Okay, so the funny thing is, like what Doctor said, is it's just an economic fight. We all know that Europe has, in fact, if they say that Nigeria was hit by the recession, Europe was hit. You're looking at the countries that are owing the most. Recently, the French government has taken, their prime minister has been asked to resign because of the loans that he has taken and they have not been able to pay back, and citizens' taxes has increased. People are complaining about housing, bad living conditions, no increment in salary. And these same people, instead of fixing their own government and economy, they are fighting Russia that seems to have all the resource. It's a funny joke because we saw during Abacha's tenure. I always give praise to him. There were no sanctions that were not thrown at Nigeria at that time, and Nigeria existed. They stopped us from going to the Olympics. They said we will export, but at the end they had to cower and come back to us, because when a country is endowed with natural resources, you can't fight such countries. Now, there are certain countries that are great. You look at Russia, they have natural resources. You look like China. China didn't really have those resources, but they built from nothing to become something. The next world power that we know that they have been shutting down is Africa. Unfortunately, maybe because of mindset, the fact that we have this new colonialism mentality, it has aided. I know that once they are done with the Russian war, their next target was supposed to be China, and that is why, like Doctor said, China is trying to tell them that, look, we too are ready. We have seen what China and Russia has done. We saw Europe try to put sanctions on India, and the Indian Prime Minister went to US, but even after visiting US, he went back to visit Russia, because the Indian Prime Minister has realized that, look, even India can be a target next, because we have seen the European countries, even though there's no more colonialism, they are still trying to determine your market forces. They are trying to use the dollar against you to make sure that your currency is not as good as it should be. It's just, like I say, it's just unfortunate. This war is a war that, like I said, NATO does not, they don't want to agree that they are out of, their relevance is done, like Nopeng. They are still going to push. And I don't see Russia giving in. Unfortunately, Africa is learning to stand on their own. We have not seen any African country say we want to align with them against Russia. We have learned to stay out of the big boys' war, and most African countries are trying to build themselves. The economic implication is Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and other oil-producing companies, and we'll keep doing very well. We'll keep selling to United States and Europe, and that means that we are bolder. They are just helping Russia reserve their petroleum products for India and other countries that would stand against EU and still collect it. It's a sad one, but I wish Priya was here so that I could tackle Doctor very effectively, because Doctor and I are on the same page. Priya is not going to be on the same page with us. Priya, we miss you, by the way.
All right, so let's take the last story. It says here, oil prices. Yes, oil prices may drop below $60 per barrel. Yes. Now, oil prices could slip below $60 per barrel by the end of 2025 as OPEC begins unwinding its production costs. Now, analysts have warned on Sunday that 8 OPEC members, including Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, initiated the rollback of about 1.6 million barrels per day cut. It's first introduced in April 2023. Starting in October, the group will return to 137,000 barrels per day to the market, citing a steady global economic outlook and healthy market fundamentals, including low inventory levels. Now, while the adjustment appears modest, analysts believe that the gradual rollback will lead to oversupply in late 2025 and into early 2026. Now, this supply surplus is expected to exert downward pressure on crude prices, challenging producers who rely on higher benchmarks to balance budgets. Now, the development reflects OPEC's attempt to balance market stability with revenue needs, but it also highlights growing risk of volatility as global demand growth remains uncertain. Energy analysts caution that prolonged oversupply could drag prices below $60 per barrel. Doctor, what's your thoughts on this regarding Nigeria and meeting our OPEC quota?
Well, I don't think we have anything to fear more right now. I think it was the last 2 weeks when the president was speaking with some people who came to visit him, and he said our revenue target for 2025 was met at the end of August.
Okay.
And it was not funded from oil, majorly from non-oil exports.
Non-oil exports, yes.
So which also showed that we have gone to some very high degree and level of diversification. That if, of course, at August ending, we meet our revenue targets, it means that we have done well. And this is not coming from oil. It's coming from majorly non-oil exports. So that's a plus. So whether we like it or not, it's cautious optimism. While we are working around our budget for 2026, I hope that those people who are also planning the budget should put this into focus to understand that likelihood that, of course, we're going to have some glitches and prices are going to go down, factored into budget preparation.
Yes.
So that we are not over ambitious, and then deficit budgeting is not excessive. So I think that's what learning that the nation can take from this, that looking at what OPEC is doing and the challenges. But then again, we don't know what can happen. Anything can happen at the Suez Canal, and the price can jump up to 100, and then some people will cash out. So it's always, because it's not God speaking, these are human beings. The environment is so volatile today that changes can happen at any time, and a minute of change can change the entire forecast and analysis that are made on. So we are not God, we are just human. We can only see the more we can, and there are a lot of hidden facts that only the deity himself can reveal. And until that is done, like the Holy Book says, the things that reveals what belongs to us and our children, the one that is yet to be revealed, belongs to God Almighty.
All right, so Swift, how do you think OPEC will create a balance between revenue needs and market stability? I mean, $60 per barrel, do you think it might go lower?
The idea is they're already trying to forecast to prepare oil-producing countries like Nigeria that, look, there is a possibility it's going to go lower than 60 naira per barrel.
$60.
$60, I mean, per barrel. Like Doctor has already said, the good thing about the Nigerian economy right now, the GDP, at least we are seeing 40% coming in from taxation, non-oil, this, that. So it means that even if we fall lower, we'll still have something to rest on. We hope.
Is that sustainable?
That's the question. We hope that it doesn't happen that way. It's better for us to have an excess. It's better for us to have it even at $80 per barrel, so that at least there will be more inflow of cash into the country, especially during dirty December. You know, we need to party. I know Doctor is not interested in that one.
You are dirty December.
No, but you see, this
people should make December clean.
Okay, clean December. Because look, after working from January to February, my friend and I were talking about it yesterday, and I said I started putting small money together. I just want to go to a resort for a week and eat some, food and just rest and tell myself, I am meeting Shisha from January to this time around. I deserve to rest. And of course, we are looking at new oil companies. They are going to be threatened. Who have taken, who are the down sector right now? You know, the Total and all these other bigger companies have sold some of their industries and their land in the down sector, because they are now going to the inner waterways now to get out this oil. These people are going to be highly threatened about this fall, because they also, that's where the challenge comes, and it is from those local industries that the dirty December happens, because they are the ones that are giving the communities, they are the ones directly feeding us, the people closer to home, with monies. The Totals are given to government. They are given to us. Yes, they have people employed. So we are hoping this doesn't happen, because we are already looking at Nigeria building a local industry of oil and gas, and if it happens, it affects them more. The Totals and other people, they have shortfalls already. They have already predicted many times. Their budgets are already done within a $40 per barrel. So they are ready for any of these things. But these smaller companies, they are not ready. They are even hoping that it goes over. And once it happens like that, then the government now has to start to look for succor and cushion for them. So we just hope this doesn't happen. We hope God is kind enough to, change OPEC's prediction, which has happened since they've predicted before, but we are still maintaining the $60 per barrel. So we are hopeful.
All right. We would hope that, yes, just like Doctor said, that in the next 2026 budget, we'll factor this particular step, $60 per barrel, we'll factor it in, so that we don't feel that, yes, it might go up or it might go. Let's just factor it in the next budget. Doctor, let's have your final thoughts on this.
Well, I think the predictions are out there, and that's what we do as humans. you guess right. Sometimes the guests are not as good as they should be. And so it just, for me, cautious optimism, looking at the global dynamics, looking at the geopolitics that's on, and then, of course, you're able to align your planning with what is on the ground. And I think one important virtue that every state must possess today is flexibility and agility. Flexible enough and agile enough to turn at a curve, and that makes for better adaptation to whatever shock the world may want to present to the nations.
Yeah, but you're not talking about Dirty December and how it affects.
Look, December has been clean because that's when Jesus was born.
All right, yes, that wraps up this edition of SOUQ Business Landscape. From aviation reforms to oil price risk, the global business environment is shifting daily, and Africa is right at the heart of it. Join us next time as we continue decoding the stories that move market, industries, and life. I am Olumide Shokaya. Swift.
They tell you that there's never a better time to start than today. So no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're doing, start what you want to start today. My name is Swift Aderito. Don't forget to buy African, be Africa, and love Africa. Bye-bye.
Osama Zaida Hausa is my name, and it's been a pleasure being on this side and knowing that you're also there watching. Send your comments, continue to follow the conversation on our social media handles, and we would like to hear from you, and that, of course, form the fulcrum of the next conversation. See you again tomorrow.
Think like that because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content, and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
My name is Shino Ogbadegeshin. I'm the CEO of Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Arton Kame. I am the head of MSME Banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Well, thank you very much indeed. My name is Stephen Kola Balogun. I have